So hello, and welcome to our Suminagashi uh, crafter community event today. We are super excited. Today we're going to be doing it a little webinar style. So if you have seen one of our events before, it'll be a little different today. But right now, I just have up on my screen some prep instructions. So if you are going to be doing Suminagashi with us today, you can go right ahead and prepare your space. Most important is that we have a nice clear counter space to do this craft. We are working with ink, and although it's not a very messy craft, if you wanted to wear clothes that could potentially be stained, if you wanted to put an apron on, something like that, that would be helpful. It's a little harder to get out of your clothes than it is to get off of your hands. But again, it's not too messy of a craft. If you received a kit from us, there is going to be a snack in there, so you can go right ahead and enjoy that snack. It is not part of our craft today. We're going to be getting started in a few minutes. We're going to give everyone else a little time to come in, so I'm going to repeat this a bunch. But I do also have some items that would be really great that you provide. So if you are doing Suminagashi with us today, we'll need some scissors. We're also going to need some rubbing alcohol, and we're just going to need a tiny little drop of this, nothing crazy. So if you wanted to throw a few drops in a little cup, we'll need paper towels and access to running water. So you could absolutely go ahead and chat in the chat box. If you have any questions, I will be there to answer any and all of them. But again, we'll get started in a few minutes. In the meantime, we'll play a little music and really get into the Suminagashi mode. All right, hello again, everyone. My name is Deanna. I will be your host today for our Suminagashi Crafter Community event. I'm really excited because Suminagashi is one of my absolute favorite events that we have. So today is going to be a little different. If you have joined us in one of our community events before, today will be slightly different. We'll be hosting it as a webinar for everyone. So if you do have any questions, comments, concerns, please absolutely place them into the chat box and we can talk about it there. In the meantime, I'd love to refer us to my Suminagashi instructions. I've just got some really great prep now instructions. Having a nice clear space for this craft will be perfect. If you are doing the craft with us today as well, wearing clothes that are okay to be stained. Now, although this isn't a very messy craft, sometimes though, things happen. You might get ink in places that they're not supposed to be. And it's a little harder to get off of your clothes than it is to get off of your hands. So if you wanted to put on a shirt or an apron, you can do that. But again, it shouldn't get too messy. We also have a snack in your kit. If you did receive a kit, please go ahead and enjoy that snack. If you did not receive a kit and you're just watching, you should totally go ahead and grab yourself a snack. Again, my name is Deanna. If you have any questions, please drop them into our chat box. Some other great things to provide will be scissors, a little rubbing alcohol. This is just a tiny drop of some isopropyl alcohol. All right, there we go. If you have any questions, you should now be able to put them into the chat box. It is open for everyone, so apologies if anyone tried to chat before. And please go right ahead and drop any questions in. yeah, we're going to get started in about a minute or so. All right, everyone, I'm looking at the time and it's definitely time to get the party started. So again, if you have not met me yet, my name is Deanna. I will be your host today for our Suminagashi Crafter Community event. I'm very excited. I'm so glad to have you all here with me to join in on this event. Now, if you are just watching along, I hope you enjoy. Now would be a great time to grab a snack. And then you could watch along and hopefully maybe do this later on, do it in the future. It's a wonderful craft. If you did receive a kit from us or you purchased your own materials, having a clear space will be very helpful for this craft. We'll be working with ink. Although this is not a very messy craft, sometimes, ink can get in different places. If it gets on your hands, it's pretty easy to wash off. It's not as easy to get out of your clothes, so if you wanted to throw an apron on or rechange your shirt, wearing clothes that are okay to be stained would be helpful. We do have a featured snack in your kit, so please go right ahead and enjoy this. And remove all of the materials from that box. That box is going to act as a drying rack later on. So if you wanted to break down the box, you can just to have more of a surface area, but you also don't have to do that. Some things that'll be really great to have provided are scissors. If you don't have scissors, no problem. We could use our hands. We're going to be going over a technique later that involves some alcohol. So rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol would be really great to have. We also like to say that if you don't have this type of alcohol, that vodka works. Anything that has a high percentage of alcohol. So, pour yourself a shot and then pour a shot for the craft. And then we just need some paper towels to keep things nice and clean, and access to running water will be pretty important in order to do this craft. Let me know if you have any questions. In the meantime, let's go ahead and talk a little bit. You could also go ahead, and I believe that there should be an option for a Q&A. So if you wanted to ask a question through that as well, if your chat box is disabled or you're unable to ask any question there, or you could raise your hand and let me know. All right, and for your experience today, we're going to be going over 3 different techniques with our Suminagashi. One will be a toothpick technique, the other will be a straw technique, and then finally our rubbing alcohol, or just our alcohol technique in general. And a little inspiration, one of our coworkers here is able to create this really beautiful masterpiece, and we just love it. It just goes to show how creative you can get with different shapes and how beautiful the colors look together. All right, in the meantime, if this is your very first time hearing about Suminagashi, where you're going to learn all about it in just a moment, but we like to play this really quick video first. There's no words or anything, no one's speaking, but there's just some really nice music, and you get to watch someone doing the art of Suminagashi before we hop into it. So you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed that sort of quick introduction to Suminagashi. It's such a beautiful art. It's really relaxing. So if you're feeling relaxed, perfect. You're right where we want you to be. Now it's time for us to hop into it together. So without further ado, I would love to pass it off to my very good friend and yours, our instructor, Lois. Hello, Lois. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. I almost said welcome to you too. Welcome. Well, welcome, Deanna. Just kidding. Welcome to everybody coming in. My name is Lois, and I'm super excited to be your instructor for today. And especially on, like a little Wednesday, we're getting towards the end of our work week. And Deanna and I talk about it all the time, but with Suminagashi, it's almost like as adults, all we get is work time and grind time. But today is a nice time where you get to just rest and sit for a little bit and do a little bit of some arts and crafts, because we don't get any of that time. And so we're going to be like kindergartners today. We're going to work with some water, we're going to work with some ink, put our little artist hat on, and it's going to be a good time. And so if you have never heard of Suminagashi before or seen any kind of water marbling, Suminagashi is specifically the Japanese art form of water marbling ink onto rice paper. And you will see later as we get more into our kits, our ink is oil-based. That's what allows it to separate from the water, float to the surface. That's how we're able to pick up our design. If our ink was water-based, let's say, it would just mix in with the water, be like watercoloring. And so that's how that would work. But because it's oil, it separates. And so that's going to be the big basis of how we craft our designs today. Yeah, so without further ado, why don't we get started? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my camera here. I'm going to bring us down to this little box. One more time, this little box. All right, give me one moment. Let me see. All right. Here we go. Can we see that? All right. And I'm gonna have Deanna spotlight that for us. Thank you so much, Deanna. Appreciate it. All right, and so for the webinar, we are going to be working from this little POV bird's eye view so you can really see what is going on today with our craft. So here I just have a couple of designs that I have done before in the past, and you can see because we are working with water today, we are all learning the exact same techniques, but because water is fluid, even if you do the same exact thing every single time, you will end up with a different and unique design each time, which is really, really fun and pretty. And so no pressure but pressure. We're not at the Met Gala, we're at the Sumi Gala. So I expect really beautiful and stunning pieces. But again, I promise you, no pressure, because anything you do will be beautiful. And so that's just a little sneak peek of what's going to happen today. So now turning to your kits, everybody, I'm just going to do a fast little like a show and tell moment, and just to make sure we're all on the same page. And so opening up your kits, grab your aluminum tray. Mine's going to look a little different from yours. I have a white tray because this shows up on camera better, but you should have an aluminum tray. And sometimes in transit, the bottom can get a little funky. And so if you want to do your best to smooth out the bottom of your tray so it is as flat as possible, so when you pour in the water, it's not doing any like mountainous terrain movement. And so taking your aluminum tray, just try to flatten out the bottom as much as you can to get a really, really flat surface going on. So that's going to be your aluminum tray. So take a second to do that. And then you will see that in your kits, you also received a pretty large sheet of rice paper, correct? All right, so this rice paper is super huge, right? So what I want you to do is grabbing some scissors, I want you to take your rice paper and cut it into small pieces like this. And so you want to cut your paper into a size that can fit inside your tray. And that way, when you create your design, it's a lot easier for you to pick it up than working with this big friend over here, right? Like you're like, I can't even pick it up. It fits right on top of my tray. So cut it into small pieces. It's almost like toilet paper. I like to call it one ply. For this class, I would say if you want to cut about like 5 pieces, that'll be great for this class. Feel free to cut more, because I promise once you get going, you will not want to stop. And I've cut it into these little kind of squares, rectangles. But if you've seen like Squid Game, you can go ahead, cut your shape into, or cut your paper into like a triangle, a heart, a starfish, an umbrella. You can cut your paper into whatever shape your heart desires. However, the heart must desire a size that fits inside the vat. So again, just it must fit inside the vat. So go ahead, take some time, cut your rice paper, and I'm going to continue quickly going through our materials. You should have received a little toothpick and a straw. That's going to be our first two techniques, toothpick and a straw. Sometimes the toothpick might get caught on the edge of your kit, so just be a little careful. That little guy might get lost, but toothpick and a straw. And everybody should have 4 paint brushes. We got 4 paint brushes. Yes, Claire with the paintbrush emoji. I see you. All right. And then we also have 3 ink colors. I have a black ink, an orange ink, and a blue ink over here. Sometimes somebody might end up with like a Happy Meal purple. If that's you, congratulations. You are the winner for today. Unfortunately, it is not me, but I think we are all matching. So we got a black and an orange and a blue. And then we also have the tray to your or not the tray, the lid to your aluminum tray. It's going to look like this reflective side and then a white blank side, correct? I just cut mine in half, but yours should be a pretty large sheet. So again, it's going to be a reflective metallic side and then a white blank side. So I want you to take the mirror side, say hello to your gorgeous self. Hello, but I want that mirror side face down, white side facing up. This is going to act as our ink palette, our little paint palette. So one more time for the people in the back, mirror side, no, mirror side down, white side up. This is going to be our ink palette. All right. And then last but not least, you all received a food craft kit little box. And once we pick up our design with the rice paper, it's going to be wet. And we want a little kind of like a dish, like a drying rack to put our paper on. And so you can just use the cardboard box. If you want to break it down, like Deanna said earlier, feel free to do that. But you just want a nice flat surface to lay your pieces on. So again, your box is going to act as a little drying rack for your wet sumi pieces once you're done with your design. All right. So I hope if you're still cutting, that's totally okay. But we are just going to slowly meander forward with what we are doing. And so everybody turning to your inks, I want you to give each ink color a good shake because sometimes it gets a little stagnant in transit. So each ink a good shake. And then I want you to put 1 to 2 drops of each ink color on your little palette. So I'm going to start with my blue. 1, 2. Amazing. Moving on to my orange. I always like to put my orange in the middle because sometimes in class I'll mix up my blue and my black ink. And so sometimes putting the orange in the middle will hopefully keep me accountable, but I don't know, it doesn't always work, but we'll see. Today might be the day. Today might be the day of success. All right, blue, orange, black ink going in, just 1 to 2 drops. And if you find that you need to replenish more later in class, totally okay, go for it. But I find that a little bit goes a really long way. So 1 to 2 drops to start out with. And then we are going to need some water in our tray. So just plain tap water is great. You can go to your nearest sink. For me, I've brought the water to me. And we don't want to start with too much water. I will say 1/4 cup is great. So I have a little measuring cup over here. I'm going to take 1/4 cup of water, or you could also do 1/4 inch, but not too much water. All right, about 1/4 cup. And you'll see we just want to fill our tray with enough water that we do not see any air bubbles inside the vat. So you just want to fill with enough water that you just gently skim the bottom surface of the vat and you should be good. We don't want any air bubbles, but we also don't want too much water. And so just a little bit of a disclaimer, the beginning process of Suminagashi will kind of feel like the story of Goldilocks and the 3 bears. It might take a second for us to find our perfect porridge or our ratio of water to ink. And so we're going to be doing a lot of finagling in the beginning, but I promise we will not lead you astray. Take a breath and we will figure it out together. But again, less is always more. So we're going to start with the 1/4 of a cup and we will move on up if we find that we need. So just to recap, we got 3 ink colors on our palette right now, and we got about a 1/4 of a cup of water in our tray. Amazing. So without further ado, I want you to grab 3 paintbrushes. Pick your favorite 3. I know they all look the same, but pick your favorite 3. I'm going to set one off to the side. And then I am going to just gently dip each paintbrush in a corresponding color. So just a little bit. I don't want too much paint on my paintbrush. Like, we don't need to drown the paintbrush in the ink. As long as the tip has a little bit of ink on it, you are good to go. So I took one paintbrush, dipped it in the blue ink. I'm going to take another paintbrush, gently dip it in the orange ink. So again, you don't need too much, just some ink is good. And then I'm going to take my last paintbrush and dip it in my black ink just a little bit. All right, so I got 3 paintbrushes here, right? Holding it in an awkward way, but I got a blue ink and orange ink and a black ink going on. And so starting with whichever color you would like, I'm going to start with my blue. What we're going to do is we are going to hold our paintbrush facing right up, perpendicular to the water. We don't really want to come in at a slant like this. We want to come in at almost like a little 90 degrees. And we're going to gently come down to the top surface of the water, kiss the water like a gentle peck, and then we're going to come right back up. I don't want you to touch the bottom of the tray, okay? So we're going to come down right when you get to the top surface of the water, a gentle peck, and then we're going to come right back up, right? And then I'm going to alternate. I'm going to grab another color. I'm going to grab my orange. I'm coming down, top surface of the water, a gentle peck, whoop, and I'm going to come right back up. And then I'm going to start alternating again, grabbing my black ink, coming down to the top surface of the water, a little peck, and then I'm going to come right back up. And what we're going to do now is we are just going to keep alternating our colors. And this is called a target. This is our little, like a little bullseye. We're going to create a target. And all we're doing is we are just alternating our paint colors, in and out like that. And so you will find that some of your ink colors might spread very fast. Some of them might spread really slow. So example, my black ink spreads a little slow. So what you can do is you can hold your paintbrush to the top surface of the water for just a couple more seconds. I'm not touching the bottom of the tray. I'm just holding my paintbrush on the top surface a little longer, and it is slowly spreading. As long as your ink is slowly spreading, you're great. Doesn't matter how fast or slow it moves. As long as it's moving in some direction, you are good. So again, example, my blue ink also moves a little slow. Ready? I'm going to dip in my blue, holding it to the top surface of the water, and it's slowly spreading, which is great. It is spreading slowly but surely, like a little tortoise, but it's fine. But my orange ink, the Lady Gaga, A Star is Born, jumps right out, boom, like that. And so this is where the kind of finagling comes in. You might have to see if you got to hold your paintbrush to the top surface of the water for a little bit longer for it to spread. You might find that an ink color goes very quickly, like so. Whoop. And so play around with how much you need to hold to the top surface of your water, your paintbrush, how long you have to hold. But if you find that right now, I don't have too much black ink happening. So I'm going to come in, dip a little bit more ink, not too much. Come in with my black ink, dip it to the top surface. Oh, and there it goes, right? So always start with a little bit, and you can always build your way up to more, right? So that's my black ink. I'm going to go back in with my blue ink. And once again, we are creating a target, almost like a little bullseye. And we're just going to keep alternating our colors like so. And what's fun is I've started my target here. I can also go to this section and I can start creating a target over here in this area as well. And again, all I'm doing is alternating colors in a little bullseye. I'm going to grab a little bit more blue ink. touching it to the top surface. And this is going to be our home base. This is the target. And so continue to experiment with that. But I will say for folks, if your ink is not spreading and it's just sitting on top of the water or it's sinking, you probably have too much water. So at any point, if you want to start over, that's totally okay. This ink is safe to go right down the sink, and you can start with a little bit less water, try a little bit more water, but that's only if your ink does not move at all. That might be because you have too much water. So again, this ink is safe to go down the sink if you want to try again. But if you have a little design going on, that's great. I'm going to show everybody what to do with our first technique. And so I got some ripples going on over here. And so I'm going to grab my toothpick. And so the first technique is very simple. Just going to grab my toothpick, and I am going to gently maneuver the toothpick on top of the water, disturbing and manipulating my design wherever I want it to go in a very detailed and delicate movement. And again, I'm doing my best to stay on the top surface of the water. I'm not stabbing my toothpick down into my tray. I'm doing my best to stay right on top of the surface of the water. And you can create figure eights, or you can just kind of drag your toothpick wherever you'd like it to go. And it's a very detailed, small movement. So that is going to be the toothpick. And so once you are happy with your design, or if you're just playing, that's totally okay. I'm going to show you how to pick it up. So grabbing a piece of your rice paper. I really like this. I like this area right here. So I'm going to pick up this design here. So I'm going to take my rice paper. I'm going to come very close to the top surface of the water. So close, but not quite. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to simply drop my paper right down. I don't want to leave it there too long. I'm going to pick it up, holding it vertical to the water or perpendicular, letting out any of that excess ink drip down. And then I have my little design. Yay. And it's wet, right? And so I'm going to quickly transfer it over to my cardboard box. And I would like it to dry flat. So I'm just going to smooth out the paper, making sure there's no air bubbles underneath. And it might look a little bit darker right here, but once it dries, you can see like this is a dry piece, and you'll see that the colors pop out a lot more. It's still pretty popping over here, which is pretty exciting. But once it dries, you see a lot of that negative space more. And so that is my first design, everybody. Yay. I am kind of sad that I cannot see your beautiful creations, but I know yours is stunning. Remember, we are at the Sumi Gala. But that is the first design, everybody. And so we're going to move forward, move to our, I almost said toothpick again, not our toothpick, our straw. And so if you wanted to keep, so my water right now is actually not too bad. It's pretty light, but if your water is a little dark, go ahead, take your water and near a sink, pour out that water, and you can get some fresh water. And again, this is just tap water. I don't have anything fancy. We're not putting sparkling water in here. Actually, please don't. Sparkling water will not work. Tap water is great. But this is also, starting over is always wonderful, because however you felt like you did in that first practice go, there's another practice go. So you can get a little bit more of a feel of what's your perfect porridge. We're going to keep going back to our little Goldilocks reference. So again, for me, I have found that my perfect ratio of water is about 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of a cup, or 1/4 of an inch. So again, once you have your clean tap water going on, go ahead and start creating your target. And again, I am just alternating colors. But also, because this is your Sumi design, this is your masterpiece. If you just wanted to create orange polka dots everywhere. I will not be mad. This is your chance to do whatever you would like. And so I am creating a bullseye, a little target. But if all you want to do is take your blue ink and you're like, Lois, I don't want to do a bullseye. I just want to do dots. I want to do these blue dots here. I want to do those orange dots there. Amazing. I support you and your endeavor, whatever you would like to do. And so craft your piece however you would like. I'm also doing these little, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just creating circles. Sometimes it's pretty fun as you start to experiment with different shapes and circles that you can make in the water. Sometimes it will end up looking like a dog paw print. I think one time I ended up with something that looked like a dog nose. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So I was resting my wrist on my tray, and you can see I kind of moved my water a little bit and it shook things up. You know, not a mistake, an accidental mistake, but not a mistake, because water is fluid. All your designs will come out really exciting no matter what you do. One time in a previous class, we had an instructor accidentally drop her toothpick right into the water, and it just created a split down. It just like parted the seas, right? And that was so stunning. It was so pretty. So in Sumi, what's great is there are no mistakes. Everything you do, whether intentional or not, will turn out stunning. And I'm not saying that just to hype you up. So I don't know what I created, but I created something. I'm pretty happy with it. Continue to play with whatever shape you're creating, but I do want to show you what the straw does really fast. And so wherever you are, if you're still working, that's great. If you want to look up for 2 seconds, that's also great. But I'm going to take my straw. I'm going to come down. I'm going to come down to my bottom right corner of the vat, but feel free to go wherever you want. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to send a little gust of wind, aka my breath, over to the opposite side of the tray, like so. Yay. And then I can come back down to the other side. I'm going to come to the left side, do the same thing. A little gust of wind. And using the straw is pretty fun because with the toothpick, it's very detailed, minute movement, right? With the straw, you are in control of your breath, yes, but then everything else becomes beautifully chaotic and you are not in control anymore. And so it's nice because I know in life, a lot of us love control. And so we give that to you with the toothpick, but then we also allow you to let it go with the straw. And so I just went in with my straw, but you can see if I wanted to keep putting some colors in there, I could go right back in with my paintbrush and put in more ink color. I can put in more circles, more designs if I wanted to. So it really never has to end. And this is actually how Shinto priests in Japan practice Suminagashi. They use it as a meditative practice, but they never pick it up. It's almost like journaling, right? When we journal, and then we close our journal and then we put it away, right? So the Shinto priests in Japan, they will make a Suminagashi design and then just kind of wash it away and then make it again and then wash it away, make it again, and wash it away, but they never pick it up. And so you can see how this is very calming. This is the repetitive nature of this. So I went in with my straw. I can go back in with my toothpick. Best of both worlds. Control. Letting go. All right. So again, once you are happy with your design, one more time for the people in the back. If we are picking up our design with rice paper, we're going to pick a piece of rice paper, come close to whichever sector you would like. And I'm going to come down to this area. Ooh, actually, I don't know. I kind of like this area. See, the dilemma is real, right? All right, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to come down to the top surface of the water, close but not quite, and then slowly drop my paper down, pick it up immediately. I don't want it laying on top of the water for a very long time. I'm going to hold it vertically so I drip off any of the excess ink. Boom. Second piece. Look at that. Van Gogh has nothing on us. Just kidding. Van Gogh is great. Van Gogh is great. I have transferred it onto my little box. Again, I'm smoothing it down so I don't have any air bubbles. And you can kind of see my first one is starting to dry a little bit more. Yay. This is my second one. And so as you can see, I'm really doing the same thing, right? I'm creating a target. I'm creating a bullseye. I'm playing around with the toothpick, playing around with the straw, but then each time different things come up, which is very, very exciting. And if anyone is into scrapbooking, once this dries, you can scrapbook with this, or if you wanted to create your own like homemade note cards, this is a really like a really great way to also give gifts too. All right, last but not least, we got one more coming for you. So I'm going to dump out my water because it is a little dark. One more time, just tap water into the tray. My perfect porridge is 1/4 of a cup or 1/4 of an inch. And I don't use too much ink. All right, so for our final design of the day, this is where we're going to need our rubbing alcohol. I believe if you don't have isopropyl alcohol, I think vodka and tequila also might work. And so any kind of alcohol, I think, but I will be using rubbing alcohol today. And so again, this is just tap water in the tray. I have my rubbing alcohol in a separate container. So that's the most important thing right now. If you have put your rubbing alcohol in your tray, dump it out. We don't want that. We just want plain tap water in your tray right now, rubbing alcohol in a separate container. And boom, that's why we have a 4th paintbrush. The 4th paintbrush should be clean. I have my 3 paintbrushes here that I use to dip in the ink. This one is a clean one. So most important thing, rubbing alcohol in a clean container, clean paintbrush. Yes, I can't see everybody, but if you're there, I want a thumbs up. I can't see your thumbs up, but thumbs up, separate container, rubbing alcohol, clean paintbrush. All right, I'm going to assume that I feel the thumbs up. I feel all the thumbs up coming in, which is great. All right, so I'm going to put that off to the side. And now, one more time, guess what we're going to do? We're going to create a design. And so this time, I'm actually going to, this will show better with darker colors. So I'm going to do my best to use just my black and my blue ink, just so you all can see the demonstration a lot easier. It does work on the orange. The design works regardless, whatever color you use, but just on camera, I'm going to use my darker colors so you can see the technique a little bit more. So I'm going to go in with my blue and my black ink. Okay, I'm going to alternate. And if you don't want to use, if you don't have rubbing alcohol or you don't want to use it, that's totally okay. Continue designing. Live your best life. But I really like it. It reminds me almost like a magic spell, like we're casting a magic spell. You're gonna be like, Lois, what do you mean a magic spell? You will see. You will see. It's very exciting. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit more black ink going on. Boom. Amazing. I would also love to know if you can use the chat, which ink color is your favorite thus far? Because I'm gonna say, I feel like my black ink today is the star of the show. She's doing great. I'm so proud of her. A lot of times it's my orange. My orange is always amazing. All right. So again, I am just creating all of these shapes. Okay. All right. So before my black ink sinks, because it is the heaviest, I'm going to bring my rubbing alcohol over here. Separate container, clean paintbrush, right? Once again, clean paintbrush, separate container. All right. So I'm going to dip my paintbrush in to the rubbing alcohol. And then all I'm going to do is just dip it straight into my vat really quickly. And so for everybody, if you're still working, I want your eyes up here for just 2 seconds for you to see how this design works or how this technique works. So again, rubbing alcohol, clean paintbrush in 3, 2, 1. Boom. All right, 3, 2, 1. Truly a magic spell. It's like a firecracker, right? If anyone knows what Pop Rocks is, it reminds me of a Pop Rock, but in the vat. Isn't that so fun? Oh my gosh, truly setting off fireworks in the water. Bam, 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 bam. I feel like Voldemort. Especially because all the colors are black and blue, right? Super, super, super stunning. So that's the rubbing alcohol. All right, so one more time, we are going to pick up our design. I'm very happy with how this turned out. And so, and again, with the rubbing alcohol, you can use the orange. I just didn't use the orange so you can see it up on screen better, but you totally can use the orange. But just so you all know, I use the black and the blue so it shows up on screen better. All right, so again, you all know what to do. We're gonna bring it down close to the top surface of the water, but not quite. Drop it down, pick it right back up. Sing a little song as you drip out the excess water. And then really quickly, a little show and tell moment. And then we're going to put it right back on our cardboard box to dry. And those are the 3 little designs that I have for today. We went from toothpick to straw and toothpick to rubbing alcohol. I know this one looks, wow, I really like this one today. This one might be my favorite for today. All right. Amazing. So that is the 3 techniques for our Suminagashi class today, everybody. This was so fun. Even though I couldn't see you, I feel like I could feel you in spirit. But thank you all so much for coming to our little webinar. Again, this is safe to go directly down the sink. So again, you can just, I'm right next to my sink, so you can just dump it right out. Give it a little bit of a clean. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. I hope that was really relaxing. I hope you do that more. It's a fun little alternative to journaling, right? I know we journal, but sometimes if you just want to get into the arts and crafts of everything, there's Suminagashi for you. So without further ado, if there are no questions in the chat, I'm going to pass it off to Deanna to close this on out. But thank you all so much for spending a little bit of your Wednesday here with us at Kits by Foodcraft. Again, my name is Lois, and I've so enjoyed being with you all today. Thanks again, everybody.
All right, awesome. Thank you so incredibly much. Let me go ahead and get myself pop back in here. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Lois, for sharing this wonderful craft with us. We really appreciate it. I love watching it every single time. It's such a beautiful craft, and it's so nice for everyone to enjoy. So if you did not get to do this yet and you're doing it later, I hope that you love it. Share it with someone or just have, a little personal time to yourself. Either way is wonderful. I would also just like to say that we do have a couple links I'm going to go ahead and drop into the chat box. First, we would love for you to follow us on LinkedIn. That would mean so much to us. Thank you so much for joining. We are going to be having some more upcoming crafter community events in the future. So definitely go ahead and check out our website for more of those. And last but not least, if you did make a creation today, or if you're going to be making one later, we would love to see it. So I'm going to also share here our Instagram. We do have an Instagram contest. All you have to do is snap a picture of your creation, post it to Instagram, and tag us at Foodcraft NYC. Use our hashtag #FoodcraftLive, and that puts you in the running to potentially be a very lucky monthly winner that receives a $100 Foodcraft gift card. So a little something for you for being able to see your beautiful creations. So we'd love to see you in any of these platforms, and we hope to see you again in an upcoming class or at our next crafter community event. Have a wonderful rest of your week. We're almost to Friday. Thank you, everyone. Bye.